set on shift, baby. Welcome to your life. Every fear, every doubt, we gon' peel it away.
Welcome, 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 beautiful people. Y'all know who it is. It is your host, Damasha K. And we are back with another wonderful episode from Zipmouth Motivation. Y'all, I don't know what's going on, but I have been having guests after guests after guests, the most powerful people. So today I have another guest, and she is the founder of Fertility Solution. I'm going to let her introduce herself because y'all know I don't like telling people's business and I like for them to tell their own business. But we will be back in 30 seconds. Welcome, 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 Sonia. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you for being on the show. So, first things first, let me just tell you, I commend you for leaving the corporate marketing world and deciding like this is something that I want to do. I always like feel excited when people do that because that takes courage. It takes courage, and I don't think people understand how much courage it takes to do that. Would you mind introducing yourself to the world?
Yeah, of course. Hello, world. My name is Sonia Ribas, and I am the founder of the Fertility Solution. And for over 15 years, I have helped welcome more than 700 babies worldwide through a holistic, research-backed approach to fertility.
Yay! I think that's wonderful, especially since I do doula. And so that holistic thing is really like that piece is really important.
Mhm.
So, right into the questions. What was the emotional moment that made you realize you couldn't stay where you were anymore?
I love that question. Gives me the chills. So I began my career as a multinational marketing executive, as you said. It was structured, predictable, safe. And I left that world to initially to become a yoga teacher. And eventually I built one of the first online yoga platforms. And the reason why I left the corporate world is because I could not fully be myself. So the version of myself that was required for me to be successful in that environment, in that world, was not the version of myself that I wanted to shine and that I felt aligned with.
Right.
So I thought I could do it. I could fake it, the fake it until you make it. Sure, I could do it, but my health would be compromised. My nervous system would be compromised, and my sense of purpose would be compromised. So
Right.
that's what made me leave.
I love that you highlighted that fake it till you make it because I say that like multiple times on my platform that I do not like that. So I feel like just be your genuine self, be whoever you are.
Mhm.
When your yoga client was told she would never become a mother, what shifted in your personality or what shifted within you that made you become like that made you say, this is my mission to support?
Yes. So, as you said, my life changed when a yoga client came to me and said, my doctor says I will never be able to be a mom. I was shocked when she said that to me because at that time I was 28 and fertility was not at all in my mind. And it didn't even occur to me that someone who was in her late 30s could have problems conceiving. I didn't even know that that was a thing.
Right.
So everything changed that day. And I said to her, look, I don't know anything about fertility. And she said, you're the only person I trust. And those words absolutely changed my life.
Mm,
And then even though I didn't know fertility at that time, I understood physiology, I understood inflammation, I understood the nervous system. So
right.
I immersed myself in research and I built a system for her. She
Right.
conceived and she has now a teenager. And
Oh,
yeah,
great.
dealing with different problems now. And her OBGYN started referring patients my way, and one baby turned into 10, and 10 turned into 50. And now we are 735 babies later, 15 years later.
That's beautiful. 735 babies later. Do
Yes.
you feel like when you think about that number of babies, do you feel like this is my gift?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
always say that my calling did not arrive as a promotion, but it arrived through someone else's pain. And ultimately, that's what drives me.
Mhm.
When I see couples and women in pain because they want to be mothers, that pain drives me to help them achieve their calling and their goals and their family dreams.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You say the body is not broken, it's communicating. What
Mhm.
does that mean in the practical terms for women who feel like their body has failed them?
Yeah, so I see so many women and couples come to me after being totally defeated by talking to doctors, fertility clinics that tell them their body is broken, that they won't be able to reproduce, that
Right.
they need, at the very minimum, they need a lot of invasive treatments. And in many cases, they even are told that they cannot use their own eggs or their own sperm.
Mhm.
And they come to me truly, truly feeling that their body is broken.
Right.
Over the years, I have learned something really profound, which is that the body is not broken, but the body does not reproduce when it feels unsafe.
Ooh.
So, when there is chronic stress, depletion, metabolic instability, or inflammation, the body prioritizes survival, which means that reproduction is optional for your body. Survival is not. So it will focus on keeping you alive, and
Right.
it will put your fertility in the back burner. That doesn't mean you're broken. That means your body's communicating with you that it needs your attention to heal, to rebalance, to optimize, so
Right.
that reproduction does not just become an option, but it becomes that it has enough bandwidth for reproduction in addition to keeping you alive.
Absolutely, absolutely. With so many women in the world right now that have like PCOS, what does that make you what does that make you feel?
Mhm. So PCOS is a condition that's very, very common. It's about 15% of women. So if you have PCOS, believe me, you're not alone. And there's a lot of people who have PCOS that don't even know it. PCOS is a condition in which the problem of PCOS is that you ovulate. Sometimes you ovulate, sometimes you don't, and it's not regular, right? Your cycles are not regular, your periods are not regular, and therefore your ovulation is unpredictable,
Mhm.
which makes it very difficult to pinpoint your fertile window. And also, it compromises the environment in which your eggs are developing and also in which your potential embryo will implant. So for PCOS ladies, I call them warriors because they're all warriors, know that you're not alone, that it's definitely workable.
Right.
Just need to reduce your inflammation because you are in inflammation when you have PCOS. And
Mm.
we need to read your body cues so that we can tame PCOS and your body has a chance at regulating itself and at doing something natural, which is getting pregnant. So
Right.
yes, get pregnant. Yes, you can get pregnant naturally, but we just need to guide your system and not force it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How much of fertility challenges are physically versus stress, like are physical versus stress, or based off the nervous system driven? So is it stress or nervous system?
It's both. It's
Okay.
so the reason why my approach to fertility is holistic is because of this question you've just asked me. So the human body is a huge ecosystem in which everything is interrelated. It
Right.
doesn't make any sense to only talk about the physical side of things if we're not talking about the emotions, if we're not talking about the mental
Mhm.
stuff. Even past stored trauma that's in your subconscious brain will come up and will tell your nervous system that you're not safe. And then we go back to what we were saying earlier. If the subconscious part of your brain thinks that you are not safe, either because of something that's happening now or something that happened in the past, it will block pregnancy. So a lot of my work actually is not just the physical, but also what happened in your childhood, what happened leading up to today, what happened in your fertility journey, because a lot of people come to me after many years of trying. So let's calm your nervous system. We do a lot of therapy, we do a lot of subconscious work as well to allow you to process old trauma and allow you to let go of all the things and all the layers that don't serve you and that are actually blocking a pregnancy without you even choosing that.
Right.
So it's a key component of my program for sure.
Wow. I love how you said that you can deal with the physical, but if you don't deal with the emotional, because I don't think people understand how powerful the subconscious mind is, and how it affects your body emotionally, physically, like it just really affects your body. And then jumping back into that survival mode, I know tons of ladies that, like they want to have a child and it has been hard for them. But when I read that about you, I was like, that kind of makes sense because sometimes you will jump back. You could do all of the things, but then that subconscious mind pulls you right back into that space. So how do you start to work with the nervous system of a new mom or a potential new mom?
So we work with it from every possible angle. Like one of the things that I'm known for is I leave no stone unturned. Okay, so there's a lot of talk about what has happened, and you open up.
Right.
And also we have tools for you to execute on a daily basis, because those tools are going to change your habits. Your habits will change your biochemistry. Your biochemistry will change your hormones, and your hormones will change your fertility, right? So some of the tools that we use to speak to the subconscious part of the brain is, I always say, the subconscious part of the brain knows two languages. Number one, emotions. Number two, repetition.
Right.
So when you talk to your subconscious brain, you need to first be calm. So you need to activate what we call the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, as opposed to your fight or flight, which is your sympathetic nervous system. Okay, so there's a whole work we do on training ourselves to activate that rest and digest mode, which is not easy at the beginning because we are all very good at fight or flight, but we don't know how to switch off and disconnect and go into rest and digest. So that's something we practice. Absolutely. And then once you're at that state where your subconscious brain is more receptive, then we talk about emotions and we talk about repetition. So we do a lot. For example, one of our favorite tools is positive self-affirmations. We do affirmations before we go to bed and first thing in the morning, because that's when your brain is receptive to that.
Right.
And then my programs are highly personalized. So every client of mine has their own, but we each have like powerful self-affirmations that are speaking to us at that moment in time. And we read them out loud every day before we go to bed and first thing in the morning. So that's incredibly transformational if you do that every single day. That's just one of the tools.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then another tool that all my clients, one of the first things they have to do when they enter my programs is buy sticky notes, Post-its. And we wrap up the whole house with good, uplifting messages that you need to hear. Because as I said earlier, a lot of my clients, when they come to me, they have been flooded with no's. So I always tell them, okay, we are departing the world of the no's and we are entering the world of the yeses. Yes, it's possible, right? So to do that, it's not just me giving you a pep talk. It's you engaging in these messages as many times as possible through your day. So we have Post-its all over the house, on the refrigerator, on the mirrors, everywhere, with specific words, specific messages that they need to hear. And everyone has their own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For women who have been told it's just your age, there's nothing more I can do, how do you help them regain a sense of agency in that space?
Yes, that's actually my favorite topic in the world, because yes, egg quantity declines with age, right? So you are born with a fixed number of eggs, and actually that number of eggs, you had it when you were in your mom's womb already. So were immature, but they were there. That is your number of eggs. Okay, it's a finite quantity. We can count them.
Right.
And every month you lose a whole bunch. Okay.
Right.
So fertility clinics, and I'm going to say the naysayers, use that as the only factor, right? They look at your AMH, which is a hormone that's correlated with the number of eggs, with your egg reserve. And that's the only thing they look at. And they set you in a complete panic when your age is advanced and your number of eggs is declined. Now, what nobody talks about is that this is not about quantity. This is about quality. And luckily, fortunately, there's a lot of things that we can do holistically with lifestyle modifications to improve egg quality, okay? Right. Improve the internal environment that ultimately is going to make or break a pregnancy. Absolutely. And that is my obsession. That's what I'm specialized in. I have a lot of mantras around that. So I do not equate low AMH with no baby. I always say I treat diagnosis as information, not as destiny. I treat your age as an information, not as your destiny. And I help women optimize their egg quality substantially to optimize their chances of conceiving, hopefully naturally, and if not through IVF, but having a solid chance.
Right, of conception. I love that. And I figured that was probably like your favorite topic to talk about, because when you said you went into research instantly when this young lady, and then you were saying like, okay, you're like 30 something, like I'm not even thinking about babies, but let me try to see what I can do to support. You emphasize the nervous system regulation. How does dysregulated nervous systems directly impact the fertility?
So the main way is you have some stress hormones. One of the main one is called cortisol. It has been studied that high cortisol levels are highly inflammatory for our systems and our endocrine. So they disrupt the other hormones, our endocrine disruptors to the other hormones. Okay. So if you have high stress levels, high cortisol levels, that's going to influence your insulin. It's going to influence your estrogen. It's going to influence your progesterone. All the reproductive hormones will be affected by that. As a matter of fact, one of my mantras is that cortisol is the thief of progesterone. Progesterone being one of the key hormones that you need to implant an embryo. Okay. Right. So if your stress levels through the day, if your cortisol levels are very, very high, that will block a pregnancy. Okay. So that's why a lot of the times we hear this annoying sentence of like, oh, just relax and it will happen, which is incredibly irritating. But there is a little bit of truth to that, in the sense like if you lower your cortisol levels through the day and you lower your base cortisol levels, that will have a profound impact in your biology, and it will give you a much solid chance at getting pregnant. It's not as easy as that, but it does. This domino effect, like it does create a domino effect that if you reverse it, you're definitely going to feel a lot better. And cortisol is at the forefront of probably 95% of chronic illnesses right away. So it is a good thing. And the problem is that we have normalized as a society very high levels of stress, very high levels of cortisol. For example, I ask my clients at the beginning of every program and throughout, how are your stress levels? And most people tell me I'm fine. So I said, okay, I also feel that I'm fine, but I'm going to do this thing, which is my new thing in 2026, which is like, I'm going to download an app that syncs with my Apple Watch and that tracks my stress levels through the day.
Right. Oh, goodness. Okay. Still there? I'm still here.
I'm still here. So I said for 2026, I'm going to download an app. I'm going to be guinea pig for this, and I'm going to download an app that actually tracks my real stress levels through the day. So it's not a speculation. It's not me thinking, how do I feel? And, it's real data. So I
Right.
started doing that for myself, and I was like, oh my God, I'm way more stressed than I ever thought, than I could have told you, right? Meaning that I have normalized for myself a very high level of cortisol, and I think that's my normal self. And it turns out not at all, not
Right.
at all. And since I saw that for myself, I started sharing that with some of
With
my
the
clients who started doing it as well. And we've all seen that at times where we wouldn't even call it stressful, we are all very stressed. Bottom line is we need to proactively through the day take actions to lower our cortisol levels. Okay. And I get a lot of people tell me, oh, I go to yoga twice a week, or I go wherever, walking, Pilates, and that's great, but that's not enough. So my prescription to my clients, and you guys can do that if you want to, it's highly transformational. What we do is that we set an alarm every 2 hours, a soft alarm, not something startling, like something that's relaxing. And then you stop everything that you're doing. You place your hands on your belly. We're going to do it now together. You close your eyes and you take 5 long, deep breaths. And then let's do this together. So I'll guide you through it. So close your eyes. And then inhale, blow your belly out like a balloon, all the way out. Stop when you're full. And exhale through your nose, contracting your belly. Stop when you're empty. I'm going to do 3 more like that. Inhale, belly out, stop. Exhale, belly in, pause. And let's do 2 more. Inhale, belly out. Exhale, belly in. Inhale, expand your belly. Pause. And exhale, contract. And when you're completely empty, you can blink your eyes open. So we just did 4. Typically, my prescription is 5.
right.
This activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, it's very simple. But once you do this every 2 hours, when you're awake, that is, it's highly transformational. So
Right.
that's something you could start doing today.
Right.
And that trains you to activate your parasympathetic nervous system and to lower your base cortisol through the day, which in turn helps you sleep better at night. That's one of the other things. I have a lot of people who come to me saying at 2, 3 a.m. I wake up. Okay, well, that tells me your base cortisol is too high. Because at 3 a.m. there's a spike in cortisol. So if your base cortisol is high, that spike in cortisol is going to wake you up.
Absolutely. First, the exercise is good. So I do meditation in sound bowls. And I think that people don't understand how important breathing is. Like breathing is so important. And when you're highly stressed, you tighten. You don't breathe. You think you're breathing because like you just walk around breathing all the time, but you need to do those deep breathing. I think that is a wonderful thing to do every 2 hours. I think that's wonderful. What are some well, we did the daily habits. What is one lifestyle shift that makes the biggest impact, but is overlooked?
I think the biggest lifestyle shift is nutrition. We all hear you have to eat healthy to get pregnant. I take this one step further. You need to follow a plate structure that is optimal for your health, that reduces, so that keeps your inflammation low and keeps your nutritional density as high as possible. So one of the first things when my clients join me is we look at their nutrition. We have meal plans, we have recipes, we have a lot of tools, but one of the most important tools that we have is a plate structure that they print out and they have it on a magnet at their refrigerator. So every time they eat, they recreate that plate structure, which includes breakfast and includes snacks. Okay, so every time you eat, The prescription is half your plate should be veggies, different colored veggies, lots of leafy greens, and any veggie that you like, peppers, broccolis, zucchinis, summer fruits as well, like cucumbers, like all these things.
Right.
Try to mix raw and cooked veggies. A quarter of your plate, which is a palm sized, should be protein, whether it's animal protein or plant protein or a combination of, that's your choice. Okay, that's a palm. And then you have one fist size should be carbs or starches. So that could be rice, could be a little bit of pasta, could be a little bit of bread, could be quinoa, could be sweet potatoes, starchy veggies or grains that you like. And then 2 thumbs is healthy fats. So my favorite is avocado, but you can do nuts and seeds. You can do olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, or avocado, things like that. So that is the recreation of the plate structure. We have a version for smoothies as well, because smoothies are a very efficient way to nourish yourself if the structure is optimal. Obviously, you need a good structure for that, because otherwise it's a sugar overload. But we are very careful. And actually in my program, we do challenges where as a community, we follow the plate structure together and we inspire each other with pictures so that you're not alone and that you have other people doing it with you.
Right.
But that is the one thing, because, remember how we say you are what you eat?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of true. And if you want to get pregnant, the quickest ways is to change your physiology and to change your biochemistry is changing what you eat.
Absolutely. And I can believe that. I believe that that is very much so important to change how you eat, because it affects many, many things in your body that you don't know about. You moved from corporate success into purpose driven entrepreneurship. What fear did you have to confront in this transition?
Mm-hmm. There were so many fears leaving corporate security. It was definitely not glamorous. It was uncertain. It required courage. I had a lot of critics around me and a lot of people saying, how can you be living such a dream job for something you have no idea how it's going to go? There definitely was imposter syndrome. What helped me is that I saw impact right away. So I built impact before I felt fully ready. And that gave me the stamina when I saw the results. That encouraged me. And for a big part of this time, I had 2 jobs. I was running a yoga company while I was being a fertility coach on the side. I was not even certified at that time. And obviously with time, I got many, many certificates. And obviously I have 3 kids. So I perfected my program later. But the fact that I had impact quickly gave me the stamina that I was onto something that gave me a lot of sense of purpose.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love how you said that. I was going into this business before I even was certified to do it. And I think that I heard this quote the other day. I was telling my best friend this last night. I heard this quote, and it said that you're not walking in your purpose until everybody thinks you're crazy. And so, but I wanted to share that with you because you said, like people were like, all these critics about what I can do and what I can't do and who I am, but this was your purpose and you stay consistent with it. And so it has been effective. And then you talked about imposter syndrome. And I think for people who are more in a purpose-driven entrepreneurship, this happens and it's a natural thing.
Yes.
So I love that you mentioned that. How did you phase out of that? Because when you're dealing with fertility, this is something completely different than what a lot of coaches do or businesses do. This is a hard lane to be in.
Yeah. So the way that I have been dealing with imposter syndrome is focusing on my clients, their life, their health, their outcomes, their results, their dreams, much more than focusing on me. I think that if you shift the focus from me, my ego, what they're going to think about me, you shift that focus from the camera from me to them, the mission became bigger than myself, and the mission became bigger than my fears, right? So
Absolutely.
at that point, everything became figure outable because it was not at all about me. It was about them and serving them. And when
Mhm.
people see you are doing your best to help, people open up. They are also human, and they appreciate that,
Right.
right? So it's about the attitude that I was showing, that people enjoyed, and that delivered results, and that's how they stayed and how we built a big business.
Right. Right. What mindset allowed you to leave security for uncertainty?
Um, the fact that I wanted to do something where I could fully be myself. So as I told you earlier, I had to leave the corporate world because the version of myself that was required in order to thrive there or to survive there was not the version of myself that I liked the most.
Right.
It was highly political. It was not about doing your job well. It was about shining in meetings, for example.
Right.
There was a lot of backstabbing that I witnessed and that happened to me. And I'm a very sensitive person, and I took these things personally.
Right.
So very quickly, I started thinking, even though I can be here and I have the skills and the training and the education to be here, the version of myself that's sitting right here, right now, is not the version of myself that I want to focus on, that I want to grow, that I want to feel proud of. So, when they say you change when the pain of leaving is less than the pain of staying.
Right.
So that's what happened to me. The pain of staying became too big.
Absolutely. I love that. And but it shows that you are secure in what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I understand corporate world. I have left corporate world to be in a purpose-driven entrepreneurship as well. And corporate world is crazy. People, like they think like the streets are bad. No, work in corporate America, that is crazy. So
Yeah.
women dealing with fertility challenge often feel ashamed,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Why do you think fertility struggles carry so much silent hurt?
Because it challenges your identity.
Mm,
That when things touch your identity of how you think about yourself and how you are portraying yourself to the outside world,
right,
that's what becomes the core, right? And reproduction is our main goal in this life. So you have two goals in this life as a being, as a mammal. One of them is to survive, and the other one is to reproduce. So it's
mm,
such a core need that once that is challenged, and when it takes longer than you thought, you start questioning your identity, you start questioning your purpose in this life, you start questioning your relationship to your body. Also, it adds a lot of pressure from, like your relationship, like your partner thinks that you should be doing things differently, or you think they should be doing things differently. So all of a sudden, what used to be a really good team, it becomes a little bit like
tension.
opposing forces, and
Mm,
there's a lot of blaming each other, so that there's conflict that arises, and that makes you question who you are and what your identity is, to
right.
the point that it's so intimate that people don't share. So it is proven that 63% of people who have fertility challenges never share with anyone.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I see in my program, that right from the beginning is a relief for them, that they can open up with people who get it. Like they can open up with me as their head coach, but also with other participants in the program. And
Right.
it's highly therapeutic to share with women who are in the same season in life. As a matter of fact, at the end of my program, I always ask people for feedback. And one of the things they tell me is the group sessions, we have group sessions and private sessions. And they said the group sessions were golden and was so therapeutic for me to be able to open up, to feel seen, to feel validated by women who are actually in my shoes right here, right now.
Right, right. I think that's important too. That's part of like just releasing that stress is being able to be seen. I know that this does provide a lot of shame for
Mhm.
women in today's society because, like, people want to have children, but also as a woman, you feel like I'm not a woman unless I can conceive. And it is a silent battle that a lot of women don't talk about
Mhm.
because they do feel ashamed or they feel that sadness when all of their friends around them are having babies and baby showers and talking about their kids and they're just kind of like,
Mhm.
well, this is what the doctors told me.
Yeah. Yeah. So if, for those listening today, if you are that person, if the doctors have told you no, reach out because there are so many miracles in the fertility world. I just told you, in my practice, I've made 735 babies to date. At least 50% of them would not be here if we would have listened to the doctors.
Mm,
So
mm.
don't get too brainwashed. I understand it's very intimidating when a white coat person tells you you can't, and I could argue it's abusive, but know that this is not a dead end. Okay, this is just one person with their limited knowledge of
Right,
how they know how to work. And I'm not saying they are being unethical. I'm not going as far as that, but I'm saying with their limited knowledge. Okay, there's a lot of things that can be done to optimize your fertility, to heal your system, and I have come to understand in these 15 years of practice that biology mirrors leadership. So you need to be the leader of your healing journey. And obviously, you can get help like me or somebody else. But your body cannot be forced. Your body needs to be empowered and enabled and healed. And that's when nature responds.
response. So you took me right into my next question. How can women advocate for themselves in the medical system where they feel like you said, it could be a little bit abusive sometimes. So how
Yeah.
can they advocate for themselves during that time?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, understand that a person's opinion is a person's opinion, even if they are wearing a white coat. Okay, so get more opinions, get different angles. Second, believe in yourself. Okay, it's one of the things that if you work with me, I will have you do. I will have you believe in yourself. And look for other angles. Nowadays, there's so many options. So you are not limited to your local fertility clinic to get to your baby, right? So I respect medical technology. As a matter of fact, I collaborate with some fertility clinics in Europe. And I will say IVF, for example, is a very powerful tool that has created millions of babies. But I also have seen that in many cases, the root causes are never addressed first. So I
Mm,
encourage you guys to advocate for yourself, to be a leader. That's what we were saying, of your fertility journey, and fight to find the root cause of the problem first. And I can help you with that, or somebody else can help you with that. But there are a lot of people that can help you with that.
right.
So that you get to it. And then once enabled, once allowed, your body can heal itself and your body can do something natural, which is conceiving.
Right, right, right. So I have a big question for you. Like I put this question in a poll before you came, and I was asking a few ladies if this is something that they wanted to know, and was this very important for them. How do you balance science-backed research with holistic healing without discrediting either side?
By being super connected to the body. At the end of the day, this so conceiving is about a body opening up
Mm,
physiologically,
right.
mentally, emotionally, energetically to
Mm,
create a new life, right? It's not about the doctor, it's not about me, it's not about the outsiders. It's about that body, and obviously with help of sperm, uh,
right.
being able to open up to that. Okay, so I park my ego on the side. Now we're talking about fertility clinics, but this is not my, I don't waste time in my daily practice talking about them. I'm saying, like, whatever, like, park all that noise to the side. And this
Right.
is you and your body. Okay, how are we going to bring you to what we call homeostasis? Homeostasis is the state in which all your body functions work optimally and in harmony. And that's the state where I see miracles, quote unquote, miracles happen. Okay, so forget about everything else. It's about you, your body, and getting to that point of homeostasis where your body will open up and say yes to a pregnancy. So what we do is a holistic approach where I navigate them and I hold their hand through the optimization of every single area of their lifestyle that can be optimized and that is related to fertility. And not because Sonia says it, but because research says it. Okay, so we go through that. They give me daily feedback on how things are going. I'm very interested in that because I'm not in their skin, I'm not in their body. I need their feedback to communicate with me. They give me daily feedback. We read their hormones daily. We understand what they're doing daily, and we take it from there. And it's them in their connection to their bodies speaking back to us. So what do we see? All of a sudden, we see hormonal charts being a lot more harmonious. We see cycles getting regulated. I see women who are not menstruating, boom, all of a sudden they start menstruating again. So the body starts talking back to us. It gives feedback, right? And with that feedback, we know, okay, this is working, this is not working. Let's fine tune, let's optimize it for everyone specifically because of the concept of bio individuality, which means that every person's unique and every person requires individualized attention because what could work for you might not work for me.
Absolutely.
And with that feedback, we build, we create, we co-create a path to optimization and a path to homeostasis. Once they reach that level of homeostasis and they stay in it for a few months, that's when typically you would expect a natural pregnancy, even when your doctor says no.
Absolutely. First, I love your answer. I knew you had this in the bag. So I was like, she knows this. I think that your answer was powerful. And I think that it's important because a lot of times, like I'm a holistic healer too, and people, like on the other side, they feel like we bash them. And we don't. What we're saying is, I understand what they said, but now let's try this way. Not saying that this way is better and not saying that maybe there are not going to be some bumps in the road. But if you could only just follow this way for a little bit and we can get you to this point, then we can get you over the threshold. And not saying that they can't, but I think that a lot of times everybody gets a generalized diagnosis, and so stepping into individuality of people, because not only are you dealing with the physical, you are dealing with the emotional, the trauma, and everybody's trauma and emotional and subconscious thoughts are completely different. I'm really proud of you because this is a lot of research. This is a lot of energy, and this is a lot of healing that you are putting or supporting people with because they're doing the work too. And you're just kind of giving them the information. And I love that for you. And I love that for them because 700 and something babies, that's a lot of babies. That is a lot of babies.
Yes.
Lots of babies.
Yes.
What signs should someone look for in their body if their body is communicating an imbalance? Just some transparent signs. You don't have to give away too many because I want them to reach out to you.
So the first thing is look at your cycle. Okay, your cycle has a ton of information. Is your cycle regular? How many days is your cycle?
Right.
When are you ovulating? Do you know when you're ovulating? Do you know if you're ovulating? Because getting the period is not the same thing as ovulating. I have a lot of women that think that because they're bleeding every month that they're ovulating. That's not at all the case. You could be getting your period without ovulation. So understand if your cycle is regular, if you are ovulating regularly, if your progesterone levels rise appropriately. You can get a fertility tracker for that. That's something I teach in my program, but you can do that on the side. That's a very big piece of information on how things are working inside. It tells you about your hormones. And a lot of people tells me, oh, but I run my labs and everything looks fine. And I'm like, honey, labs are great, but labs are a picture in time. When you're in a roller coaster, have you ever been, like, I live in LA, so we go to roller coasters, and like you are going down like this massive slope and they take a picture of you and you
Right.
look super frustrated because you're freaking out. So
Right.
that collapse, like that moment in time in that roller coaster doesn't represent you. You were freaking out. It was like, that's not you, right? So
Right.
lapse is you very nervous, spiking cortisol in a doctor's office. They draw some blood and they tell you what happens at that point in time. That is not a story. That's a picture.
Absolutely.
So labs good as reference, not good enough as a daily story, understanding the story of your body, the story that your body is telling us about you. Okay, so understand if your cycle is working well at a deep level. A second thing is a lot of us have normalized being bloated. I see that with women all the time. Raise
Right.
your hand if you have not been bloated. So a lot of people, and I go in phases like that, where we are so inflamed that we are permanently bloated.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that, like if you look at yourself in the mirror at night before you go to bed and you go on the side and you look pregnant, you're probably bloated.
Right.
You can feel that, right? So that's not normal. That's inflammation. Okay. One of the things that I see with my clients when they join my program is that boom, they drop like 5 pounds in one go.
Mm-hmm.
I say that's great, but that is not fat. That's the inflammation you were carrying. That was really not healthy. So good, like fantastic, congratulations that you got rid of that. Okay, that's the thing. We like boom, we lose weight, not intentionally, but I mean, obviously there's a weight component to getting pregnant, but purely out of like the inflammation we carry. A lot of things, another thing that you are inflamed, another thing that you could look at is if you lack energy. Okay, so if you lack energy at 3 p.m. or something like that, that tells me you are inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
That's giving you brain fog or like lower energy levels. That's not normal. Another thing that's not normal is PMS. So a lot of people tell me, oh, but that's normal. I'm a woman. And like, no, PMS is not normal. So if you have PMS, you are inflamed. That's fine. We can work with that, but that's a sign. I will tell you, with all honesty, we all carry a certain degree of chronic inflammation. It's a result of living in the United States in 2026. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I say to people, I'm not going to turn you into the Dalai Lama. Okay. I'm going to respect who you are. I'm going to respect your life and I'm going to respect your identity. However, I will unveil the best version of yourself.
Mm. I'm so glad that you mentioned that bloating is not natural because I tell people this, I don't eat meat. There's a lot of things I don't eat. So, and PMS is not natural. And I've said this many times, that's not normal for you to be up and down, moody swings and slamming doors and mad at everybody and then say, oh, well, I'm PMSing. That's not normal. You should be balanced the majority of your life. Sometimes you might get a little unbalanced. Well, that's inflammation too. And I love that you said that because it's important for us to understand the difference between in our bodies, than balance and inflammation. I am so excited that you came on the show because you gave out some wonderful, wonderful information. Um, just some things that holistically we needed to hear, especially when it comes to fertility. I cannot tell you how many women I see on a regular, just whether I'm in a group or whether I'm just, like just on social media, I always see people talking about fertility and wanting to have a child or a baby or multiple babies.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more question for you, and then I'm gonna let you take the stage here. What does restoring balance realistically look like? Like when you're working with a woman, do you have a time frame or is everybody individual?
Yes, that's a great question. So typically I work with women for 6 months. And
Mhm.
the reason why we have chosen 6 months is because it takes 4 months to improve egg quality. As I told you earlier, egg quality is one of my obsessions and one of the things I specialize in.
Right.
So the eggs you're going to be ovulating in 4 months are starting to grow right now, which
Mhm.
means that I need 4 months with you to optimize your egg quality. Now, the reality is that we work 6 months together because life happens, and a lot of the times people go on holidays or like things happen where we get put on hold. So we have a 2-month buffer into the program so we can relax, and if we get delayed, we're not panicking.
Right.
I also like to be 6 months with people because that is a good representation of life. And
Mhm.
one of my main goals, obviously, I want you to walk out of here with a baby, but I also want you to walk out of here having practiced unveiling the best version of yourself and developing a toolbox that's going to be with you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
So if I spend 6 months with you, that's going to mean we're going to do holidays. We're going to do highs and lows and celebrations and bad news and good and cold weather and warm weather. And we're going to do a big chunk of time.
Right.
That's going to help you practice all the tools and perfect all the tools while we are together, so that when you walk out of here, you're fully ready for what life throws at you.
Absolutely, and I love that. I knew I in my mind, I said she works with them for probably about 6 months because by that time, they should be on, if as long as you're following the holistic approach and you're doing the best you can do, I feel like that's a good time, and now conception can happen. Sonia, before we leave, was there anything that I didn't mention that you would like to share with the audience, along with your information of where they can find you?
So, for anyone navigating fertility, I teach the exact 3 steps that my clients follow to get pregnant naturally in 6 months. Okay. So, you can get my free masterclass at thefertilitysolution.com, thefertilitysolution.com. And you will see the exact 3 steps that my clients follow alongside with many case studies so that you can learn exactly how to do that yourself.
Nice, nice. Now y'all see she has a master class for you and it's free that you could not ask for more, and I know that like I'm one of those people, I like hands-on. So I know there are going to be some people who really just want to sit before your coaches or your team or even you to get that one-on-one or that need more than just like, hey, I need more than a master class. I know this is a master class, but I need something else. And that's available for them because I know you say you live in LA. Is that available here in Florida?
It's online. So wherever you are in the world, we can help you. Um, Number one, watch the masterclass. Truly see if it resonates with you, because if it doesn't resonate with you, I don't want to waste your time. Okay. So that truly reflects how we work and the steps that we follow. And if you want to talk to us after, you'll follow the instructions and you'll be able to book a call with us, and we'll take it from there.
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming on the show and sharing such great knowledge with us. So, on Zipmouth Motivation, before the guest leaves, I always ask them to leave the audience with a poem, a nugget of truth, just something to get them through the rest of the day, tomorrow, maybe in a year, they'll think about, oh, she had Miss Sonia on their show and she said this to me. So, could you leave them with something?
Okay, so my little nugget will be, when the body feels safe, supported, and nourished, it creates life.
Mm. And that is it. When the body feels safe, secure, and nourished, it creates life. And it doesn't matter what life, so it's going to create life. Again, thank you for being on the show. And everyone, thank you for listening in. Continue. Please follow Sonia. I'm going to post all of the links that she left for me and then information about her masterclass. Please tap in, follow her, reach out to her. I know the show is going to make, and don't be afraid because you see, we talked about ladies being afraid to talk about their infertility. And you never know, like the holistic approach could really work for you. I know what doctors tell you. They told me I was barren and they told me